So we'll record this for anybody who's not able to join us live, because I know there were some people that signed up, but something maybe came up, or, you know, or even if you have to hop off, the session will be recorded and I will email it out to everyone tomorrow. Awesome. Okay. Welcome, you guys. I am thrilled that you are here with me tonight. Hosting these kinds of webinars, these web classes, is one of my favorite things to do, because these are topics that are near and dear to my heart. And I just love this sort of, it feels like I get to kind of hang out with you guys for a little while, and we can just kind of be in our jammies and be cozy and just chat. And I love it. It's a great way to connect. Hey, hi guys. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Kathy. This is great. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So you guys can hear me. You can see me. We are recording. All is good. Okay. I have a little bit of, I'm just coming off the tail end of a cold, so I feel fine, but I still have a bit of a cough. So I have 2 glasses of water just in case I get tickle in my throat. So hopefully that will hold off and I won't be coughing at you guys through the whole evening. Okay, awesome. So let's, just before we get started too, let's just take 1 or 2 minutes, and I would just love to hear where you guys are joining me from. I am here just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and it is freezing. It's been about minus 25 here for the last couple of days, and it's like Antarctica. So I hope you are somewhere warmer. Kathy's in Arizona. Okay, love it. Perth, Australia, California, Iowa. Oh my gosh, you guys are freezing too. Oh my gosh, I can't. It goes too fast. I can't see it. Oregon, Buffalo, Des Moines, Florida, Hot Springs. That sounds nice. Toronto, Canada. Oh, good. Ottawa. Oh, you guys must be cold. Massachusetts, Ottawa, Goderich, Florida, Maryland, Wyoming, Pennsylvania, New York, Pittsburgh, Missouri. Okay, awesome. Winnipeg. Ooh, Patricia, you must be cold. All right. Awesome. So I love that. I love that everyone's joining me from all over, and we're all coming here together. Again, I hope if you are somewhere warm, you will send some warmth through the internet to me, because it is freezing. I had a little space heater going on under my desk, but I'm afraid it's too loud, so I'll turn it off. But yeah, it's real cold here. It's really, really cold. I couldn't even take my dogs out for a walk today. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, it's 8:03 by my time. And I have a lot of stuff I want to get through with you guys tonight. I have a lot of content that I've been working on all day. I have some slides I want to share. So let's just dive right in, okay? All right, I am going to share my screen because I have some slides that I'm going to go through. So I will go through my whole presentation, and then I will pop back on here on the camera to come and chat with you after. So, and I will stick around and answer any and all questions that you have. If you have questions as I'm going through the presentation, just feel free to, you can write them in the chat, you can put them in the Q&A, or anywhere that you see on your screen to write things. Go ahead. I will be able to find it. My screen looks a little different than yours. I won't stop in the middle, because I'm really bad about going off on tangents. And if I start doing that with everyone's questions, we're going to be here all night. So I'm just going to go through all my material, but by all means, post your comments and questions in the various places, and at the end I will come back and I will be sure to answer them all. Okay, so write them down so you don't forget them when you think of them, and then I'll come back and answer them. And that's it. So I'm also gonna turn off my camera, because it's super weird for me to talk and watch myself talking. So I will share my screen and I'm gonna turn off my camera, but then I'll come back and chat with you after. Okay, all right, let's share my screen and let's go into slides. Yay. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop my video, and then so I don't have to watch myself, and we'll dive right in. Okay. All right. So welcome to the webinar. I am Sarah Best, as some of you know, and as promised, over the next 60 to 90 minutes, I'm going to show you, my goal is to show you how to train your brain to fall in love with the healthy lifestyle that you want, okay? Because that's really what we all want, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what you really want? You want to be able to make the healthy choices, eat the right foods, say no to seconds, say no to nighttime snacks without it feeling like you're fighting your brain the whole time, right? And usually losing. You want the healthy choices to feel natural, right? Like your automatic default. You want it to be like a non-issue. Am I right? So just, if that's what you want, I want you to type yes in the chat box or somewhere, so that I know that we are all on the same page. And I'll just go into the chat and just look. Okay, good. Yes, 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 yes. Capital yes. I love it. The yeses are going so fast I can't even see them. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm seeing tons of yeses, which means that you are 100% in the right place, okay? So let's dive in, because that's really my goal here tonight, is to get you closer to that place. So let's dive in and do what we can, alrighty? Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to bet that attending this webinar with me tonight is not the first thing you have tried in your attempt to lose weight or get control over stubborn habits like nighttime snacking or giving into cravings or emotional eating, right? Would that be a safe bet? Again, I want you to go ahead and type yes in the chat box if just in the last year alone, you have embarked on at least one program or diet to either lose weight or get healthier. Okay, so oh my gosh, I can't. Okay, the yeses, the yeses are going so fast, I can't even see them. Yes, 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 definitely. Yes, 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 definitely, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm seeing tons of yeses. So again, there's so many yeses that I can't even see them all. So I wanted to do that because I want you to see that you are not alone in this, okay? You are not alone. Everyone on this webinar right now, and this is just a small sliver of the people that I see and connect with in my online community and in my online programs, we all start in the same place, okay? So I just want you to know that you are not alone. And the first thing I want to mention before we go any further is that if you failed at staying consistent with healthy eating in the past, it is not your fault, okay? We're going to talk tonight about why that is and how and why, you know, so much of the information you've been bombarded with up until now has actually set you up for failure. And tonight we're going to sort some of that out together and get you on a new path, okay? A path that actually sets you up for success so that making the healthy choices consistently doesn't feel so hard anymore. And if you've ever felt that fear, I know how it feels because I used to feel it all the time, that nothing might ever work, that you're never going to feel like you have control over this thing, that you're never going to lose the weight. I want to put those fears to rest as well, okay? You can do this. I know this because I've done it, and so many of my clients and students have done it now. For example, Janice, many of you met Janice during, if you were involved in my recent 5-day mindful eating challenge. Janice is like one of my amazing cheerleaders now. But when I first met Janice, she was struggling to stay on track with healthy eating. She was eating her feelings. She was worried about fitting into her dream dress for her upcoming wedding. She was, you know, really concerned as a mom about the example she was setting for her daughter. She was white knuckling it, as I call it, every single day. That's where you're just like holding on saying, but I want to eat the thing, don't eat the thing. But I want to eat the thing, don't eat the thing, right? I call that white knuckling. She was doing that every day. She was exhausted. She was sick of failing. And she was really hesitant about trying yet another thing. She was really worried when we met, just full disclosure. She was really nervous about signing up with me because she was afraid she wasn't going to stick with it, right? She felt like she'd signed up for so many things and not stuck with them. And she was afraid this was just going to be the same thing. But after we worked together, Janice lost 15 pounds and rocked her wedding dress. But better yet, you know, this is what Janice had to say in our private Facebook group when she was done. She said, when Sarah said there would come a time when I wouldn't be white knuckling it, I thought to myself, that will never be me. Never. Food had such power over me, and it's just unreal how much has changed. And later she posted, I'm so glad I was able to change my life with this program. I couldn't imagine a life where food wasn't first. And now I have such a different relationship with food. It's fuel, not a therapist, right? And my goal here tonight is to help you see, that the same kind of thing is possible for you. And it's precisely because of clients like Janice that I know that you can do this too. I've done it. Countless clients of mine have done it. You just need to start thinking about it all a little bit differently. That's all. And that's what I'm going to teach you a bit about here tonight. Okay? So listen, the diet industry and all the magazines, they want you to believe that it's your fault because you haven't had enough willpower, or you haven't bought the latest book or meal plan or supplement or protein powder or shake. And I'm here to tell you that if you've always suspected that they're not really on your side, you've been right all along, right? They actually want you to fail. They want you to keep doing the yo-yo. They want you to stay on the roller coaster, right? They make more money when you keep going in circles and blaming yourself. It's how they keep clients. It's how they keep customers. And my goal here tonight is really to help you see a way out of all of that. That's really why I'm here, okay? I know that you have a dream to become the fit, healthy, happy person who's bursting with energy and joy. And I know that you know that she's already inside you, right? You know that she's there. And I want you to show up in a big, beautiful way for your kids, for your partner, for your friends, for your grandkids. And during this webinar, I want to show you how you can finally step into becoming that woman, right? She exists. She's inside you. I promise you she does. I think you have had inklings of her. I think you probably remember bits of her. And I just want you to have the tools to really step into being her. Okay? All right. Now I want to share with you what we're going to cover tonight in this webinar, so we're all on the same page. And I want to keep it, I'm going to try and keep it to under 90 minutes. So, because I don't want to take up your whole evening. And we have a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to get right into it. Here's what I want to share with you tonight. Okay. Tonight, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about why what you've been trying so far hasn't worked. And just spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with the fact that you don't have enough time. We're going to talk about what you need to be focusing on instead. And spoiler alert, it's not more time at the gym. And third, we're going to talk about the 5 keys to unlocking a very different, balanced, simple relationship with food. All right? Sound good? So when you leave here tonight, I want you to know why what you've been doing hasn't worked, what you need to be doing instead, and exactly how to do that. Think we can cover all that in 90 minutes or less? Well, we're going to see. Let's give it a go. Okay, now given that we only have limited time together tonight to get through this, here's what I need from you, okay? I'm not asking much, but you have to pull a little bit of weight here, okay? I need you to really commit to being present with me for like the next hour, okay? So, close the door, put your phone in airplane mode, unless you're watching me on your phone, exit out of Facebook, get comfy, right? Really be present here. Give yourself this gift of this time, okay? Can you do that for me? I want you to type here in the chat box if you're committed to being fully present with me just for the next hour. That's all I ask. Here, here, here. Yay. Here, here. Yes. Good, good. Here, here, here. Awesome. You guys are the best. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Amazing. I'm seeing lots of heres. Thank you. Okay. Now, one more thing before we just dive into the material, those 3 things I want to cover tonight. I want to just take a minute or two to introduce myself. Some of you may know me really well. I see many familiar names on that list of comments. But some of you may have, maybe you've just finished doing the Mindful Eating Challenge with me. And you might kind of still be wondering, like, who the heck is this woman? What is she all about? So I just want to take a few minutes to, for you to just get to know me a little bit better. So my name is Sarah Best, and I am a registered holistic nutritionist, but my clients and students like to joke that I am the nutritionist who never talks about food. And that's because I focus not on telling you what to eat, or what not to eat, because I think you already have a pretty good sense of that, but rather on helping you actually do it, right? Helping you break the old unhealthy habits and patterns that are preventing you from making the healthy choices that you already know you need to make, right? Because in my experience, the women I work with already pretty much know what they should be doing, right? Most of my students and clients know a lot about nutrition. I mean, they've read a lot of articles, they've read a lot of books, they know a fair amount. It's not a lack of knowledge that's holding them back. They struggle to just do it and do it consistently. And so that's where I come in. And I actually think that the best way to explain how I got from where I used to be to where I am today is by telling you a story. And it's a story that started about 12 years ago. So this is me. This is like the 10-year challenge, except I would not want to post this picture anywhere. Although I'm showing it to hundreds of you. I was a busy working mom with 2 kids under the age of 5 and a husband who had recently quit his job to pursue his dreams of becoming a lawyer. And I'd always been interested in health, but when I found myself having to give, 100% at work, 100% at home, and also support my husband, taking care of myself just really went out the window. And I was just trying to get through the day and keep all the balls in the air. I know a lot of you here can relate to that. And when I say that, I wouldn't want to post this picture anywhere, it has nothing to do with, my body shape or size, because you may look at that and you may be smaller than that, you may be bigger than that. It's completely irrelevant. Has nothing to do with why I wouldn't want to share the picture. To me, what I see in that picture, when I look at that picture, is a really unhappy woman, because I just remember, I remember that exact moment when I took this quote unquote before picture, because I was going to lose the weight. I think this was right before I joined Weight Watchers. And so I took this picture because I knew, this was it. I was going to lose all the weight, and then I'd have my after picture and it was going to be so great. Yeah, that never really happened. But I just see someone who's really unhappy when I look at that picture. So I just wanted to clarify that. It has nothing to do with, it's irrelevant to me what anyone weighs or what their body shape is. To me, I see someone who's really unhappy, who feels really hopeless, who feels really alone and lost and embarrassed and all of those things. And that's why I don't really like looking at that picture. But I wanted to share it with you because I want you to know what my journey was like. And I know a lot of you can relate to where I've been. I had, like I say, I was working full time. I had young kids at home. My husband was basically AWOL as he was in law school, and my weight crept up, and I started to struggle with blood sugar issues and even depression. I was really, really unhappy, and I wanted to lose the weight. I wanted to feel better, right? I wanted energy. I wanted to feel confident and proud. So, just like you, I tried everything. I tried Weight Watchers and low carb and vegan and low fat and Atkins and low sugar and South Beach and so many others that I honestly can't even remember them. And that's just the nutrition. I also did all the exercise things. I did Tybo, and you remember the Tybo tapes? Did anyone have those? I did PX90, and I ran a 10K race, and I took up yoga. That was the only one that actually stuck. I still love yoga. It's still a huge part of my life. And lots of things worked for a bit, but eventually I'd, make excuses, and I'd go back to my old ways, and the weight would come right back on. And I know that sounds familiar to a lot of you. So let's just take a second here, because I know I'm not alone in this. I know you guys can resonate with this. And I'd love for you to type in just one of the things you've tried in the past to lose weight and stay on track, right? So type in the chat box just one thing. Let's just all share one thing we've tried in the past to lose weight. Keto, Weight Watchers, South Beach, Weight Watchers, Jane Fonda, Lap Band, Weight Watchers, Eliminate Carbs, Noom, Weight Watchers, Keto. Oh my gosh, MyFitnessPal, Whole30. Oh, I can't even read the back. Fasting, low carb, keto, Bernstein, Weight Watchers, Count Calories, Herbal Magic, 17-day diet, the Rice Diet, low carb, Isogenics. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So you know how I felt, right? Exactly. Like, oh my God, you guys, the things we've tried. Not to mention, I have clients that were on amphetamines, and, I remember I had a woman tell me that she ate cotton balls. Like, she would dip cotton balls in Tang. She would dip cotton balls in Tang and swallow them, because then it would fill up her stomach, but with no calories. Like, these are the things we've done, you guys. So you know how I felt in this picture. And inside, I felt really unhappy with myself, right? I hated my body. mostly again, just because I was really unhappy. And, I bought big flowy clothes and I hated the way I looked in all of those. And I started to sort of avoid being in social situations because I just, I didn't want people to see me. I didn't feel like I looked good in anything. I didn't even recognize the woman I saw when I looked in the mirror anymore. I felt like a failure. And I saw other working moms who seemed like they were going to the gym 5 nights a week and they looked great and they were doing all this amazing stuff and cooking all these healthy meals. And why couldn't I get my act together and do that? So eventually I decided that the problem must be that because of all the conflicting and confusing diet advice out there, I just didn't know exactly what I should be eating or how much, right? I obviously just hadn't figured out the right recipes or the right way to plan or anything, right? And I'd always been interested in learning about health. So I decided to go back to school part-time to become a nutritionist. Surely then I would know exactly what I should eat and be able to easily lose the weight and keep it off, right? That's what I figured. So I did go back to school and I did become a nutritionist, and nothing changed. I did now know exactly what I should be eating, how much and when, but I still found myself at the end of every day on the couch in front of the TV once my husband and kids were in bed, just stuffing my face with potato chips or M&Ms, or usually both. And to be totally honest, it was embarrassing. Like, it was humiliating. And it was really the most hopeless I'd ever felt after I graduated, and I was still doing that because I was a nutritionist, for goodness sake. And I still couldn't get control over what I was putting in my mouth. My friends had come and celebrated me graduating as a nutritionist. And it was like my dark secret, my dirty secret, that I was still binging on junk food every night once everyone else was in bed. I would hide the wrappers, like the whole thing. And so then I came across a book in a strange little secondhand bookstore that put me on a course that eventually changed my life, helped me lose the 20 pounds and keep it off for good, and create the business I run now and the work that I do now. It wasn't a diet book. It didn't even have anything to do with health. It was a book about something called neuro-linguistic programming. I know, big words. And basically, it was a book about speaking the language of your brain. It was like an operating manual for your brain. And that's really when a light bulb went off for me. Reading that book suddenly made it so clear to me that the secret to staying on track with healthy eating really had very little to do with the food itself. I knew what I should be eating and not eating, right? I was a nutritionist, for goodness sake. I just wasn't doing it. So what I learned from that book, and it's not even that I necessarily went on to pursue neurolinguistic programming, although I have done training in that area, but it was more this huge shift in the way I was looking at things, where I realized that my struggle actually had nothing to do with the food. It had everything to do with the old patterns and habits that were wired in my brain around food. That's what was making it feel so hard for me to change and to stay on track with something different. So I immediately became obsessed with learning everything I could, not just about neurolinguistic programming, but about other tools like visualization and mindfulness and meditation, and how I could use them to not only transform my own relationship with food, but also help the clients I'd now taken on as a nutritionist do the same thing. And as soon as I started seeing the power of focusing not on the food, like not on the sugar or the carbs or the bread or any of that stuff, but on my brain, on my thoughts and my feelings and my habits, that's when everything changed for me. As I got better at using these tools, I was able to break my old stubborn habits and replace them with new, healthier habits in a way that felt natural and automatic. I no longer felt like I was fighting my own brain. I felt like every part of my brain was on the same page, right? We were all on the same page. We were going in the same direction. No more tug of war. Making the healthy choices became sort of a non-issue for me. My new default, my new normal. I literally became a different person in terms of the way I think about food. Do I still love chocolate? Absolutely. But now I can indulge in it in a mindful and meaningful way and not use it just because I'm tired or stressed or bored or just because it's around. And it's honestly the most free I've ever felt in my life. Now, at this point, you might be saying, well, that's great for you, Sarah, but things like meditation or visualization or neurolinguistic programming, whatever the heck that is, aren't for me. I just need you to tell me how to stop eating carbs. And that brings me to the first thing I want to talk to you about tonight, right? Number one, why what you've been trying so far hasn't worked. So we all agreed a few minutes ago that attending this webinar was not the first thing you had tried to stay on track with healthy eating or lose weight, right? You've tried all the diets, tried all the programs and the meal plans, you've bought all the books and the DVDs, and you've joined every gym. You've cut out carbs and sugar and gluten, and at one time or another, probably every food group except oxygen. And, that's how most people are trying to lose weight or make changes to their health, right? They're spending countless hours focusing on what they should eat or, what they shouldn't eat, how much, when, how often, how many grams of protein, what kind of carbs. And they're torturing themselves trying to figure out, how to make this all work and figure it out and plan ahead and meal prep and all the things. And that's probably what you've been doing. It's certainly what I was doing. And here's why that doesn't work, or why it works for a little while and then doesn't, okay? It's because that approach doesn't address a gigantic, probably the most crucial piece of the puzzle, okay? The truth is that any diet or eating approach that appeals to you will work if, and here's a big if you stick with it consistently. But we don't do that, do we? Right? We don't stick with it consistently. And why not? Why don't we stick with it? Now, you might think it's because you lack willpower, or because you're too lazy to plan, or because the people in your life sabotage you by bringing junk food into the house, or because you're addicted to carbs and sugar. And, there may be some truth to all of those things, but here's the real underlying answer why we don't stick with it. We don't stick with it because we're trying to make changes that our brain will not accept because it's still wired for our old ways. Okay, I want to read that one more time because this is huge, you guys. We don't stick with it because we're trying to make changes that our brain will not accept because it's still wired for our old ways. That's the missing piece of the puzzle, and it's the reason that nothing you've tried so far has worked long term. Everything you've tried so far has left out this huge piece of the puzzle. Everything you've tried so far has told you to do things and make changes without changing the wiring in your brain first. It's like trying to play a DVD in a VHS player, okay? It's like trying to run new software on an old, incompatible operating system. It's never going to work. There's nothing wrong with the DVD. There's nothing wrong with the new software. Those are fine, but you're trying to play them. You're trying to use them on a platform that doesn't accept them because they're not wired for each other. It's never going to work. And the longer you try to do it, the longer you're going to feel like you're bashing your head against a brick wall, right? So to illustrate this for you, I want to paint a little picture, okay? So I like to use analogies, and I actually did a video about this in my Facebook group the other day. So you might have already heard this story, but it's an analogy that I think is really fitting. So I want to share it here as well for anyone who might not have heard it. Okay, so I'm going to paint a picture for you. Imagine you have out-of-town guests staying with you for the week, right? And as a generous host, you encourage them to make themselves at home during their visit, right? Your home is their home. You suggest that they especially make some time to enjoy the new prize jewel in your home, your recently renovated bathroom with the marble countertops and the soaker bathtub and the radiant heated floors. One day, you come home maybe from running errands, and as you're at the front door, you notice water pouring from your ceiling upstairs, right? You race up the stairs, and as you turn the corner and see the bathroom, your heart sinks. You find your bathroom door wide open, and your guests are on their hands and knees with what looks like every towel you own, sopping up more than an inch of water that's spreading across your expensive heated floors. Your guests look panicked. There on the other side of the room, you see your soaker tub, and it's entirely filled and overflowing with water. The faucet is turned on full blast, and more water is just cascading over the edges. It's spreading out all over your bathroom floor. It's seeping out of the bathroom into your hardwood floors in the hallway. It's destroying everything. You look back at your guests who are trying to mop up the water with the towels, and you say, like, what's going on? And they say, the bathtub. And they say, we're trying to clean up the water. Do you have any more towels, or do you have bigger towels, or like more absorbent towels? Or maybe we should use like a bath sheet, or like, do you have anything else? And you're so confused. You know, you look at them and you look back at the bathtub and you say, like, is the faucet broken? And they look at you with blank faces and they say, and you say, the faucet, is it broken? Like, it's not working? And they say, oh, we didn't try the faucet. We're busy trying to mop up all this water. Now, I tell this story because I think it illustrates what so many of us are doing when it comes to our effort to stay on track with healthy eating. We're frantically trying to mop up the water. We're searching for more towels and bigger towels and more absorbent towels, and maybe the towels that our sister-in-law is using, or the towels we heard that a celebrity uses, instead of turning off the faucet. And this is what we're doing when we're constantly hunting for better recipes, quick and easy recipes, Instant Pot recipes, keto, different diets, different shakes, different diet pills. Like we're looking for like different low carb protein bars or something, right? Yes, just like towels are going to be necessary if your bathtub overflows, recipes and information about nutrition are going to be important tools for you if you want to, say, lose weight or be healthier. But unless you turn off the faucet first, no amount of towels is going to solve your problem, right? And what's the faucet when it comes to your relationship with food? It's that old operating system in your brain. When we put all our energy into trying to implement new food choices without first updating that old operating system, it's like trying to deal with an overflowing bathtub by searching for the right towels instead of just first turning off that faucet. This approach is exhausting and it keeps us going in circles, and it's never going to work long term. You can't stick with it. And the longer you try to do it, the longer it's going to feel like you're bashing your head against that brick wall. That's how I used to feel. It's how all of my students and clients who come to me feel when they usually first find me. And it's how Anne felt when we first met. Anne said, I was always feeling like a failure because I wasn't able to stay with any weight loss program for long enough to get the results I've spent my life looking for. I would get bored or impatient at how long it was taking and go back to my comfort habit, which usually took me to an even higher weight. That feeling of failure had spread to other areas of my life. And Anne worked with me for a few months, and she really experienced a pretty massive transformation. She did the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program with me a few years ago, and I spoke to her just maybe before Christmas because I wanted to reach out and just ask her to share what had been the biggest reason for her transformation. And she said, the Change Your Brain program has been the best thing I've ever done for myself. I've finally developed the healthy relationship with food that I was hoping to find. This program approaches this whole issue differently. I still love food, but I love it very mindfully now. I'm down 40 pounds, and I'm confident that when I get to where I want to be, I will never have to do that again. I've tried a million things, and nothing has ever worked long term. This program has turned all that upside down, and it's the first approach that's ever really worked. It works from the inside out. This goes so much deeper. The reason that Anne was able to make such a massive and lasting shift in her relationship with food was because we got her focus not on the food itself, but on the real root cause of her old self-sabotaging habits, okay? And when you make that switch, that's when magic starts to happen. And that brings me to the second thing I really want to cover tonight, okay? We've just talked about why what you've been trying so far hasn't worked. Now let's talk about what you need to be focusing on instead. Okay? So obviously, based on what we've learned so far, we need to turn our attention first to doing the important work of getting your brain on the same page, of updating that old operating system. You want to eat better. I know you do. You want to move more. You want to take more time for self-care. You want to feel free and confident and in control. But every time you try to do those things, your brain freaks out, digs in its heels, and says, nope, not today, right? Too tired, too busy, too hard, not a good time, too much going on. We'll do it on Monday. So instead of just flogging that dead horse, instead of just beating your head against that brick wall, let's start focusing on updating that old wiring and getting your brain on the same page so that it welcomes the healthy changes, so that it looks forward to exercise, and so that it embraces new habits happily, okay? And we do that by changing our approach. We do that by approaching the changes we want to make in a way that works with your brain's natural wiring instead of against it. What do I mean by that? Well, your brain, the brain of every animal actually, is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Again, I mentioned this a few times during the recent Mindful Eating Challenge if you join me for that. So this won't be a new concept for you. What this means is that strategies like dieting, deprivation, guilt, these set us up for failure from the beginning because your brain is hardwired to resist them, right? So instead, we want to be focusing on reframing the healthy lifestyle we so desire as a reward that our brain can get excited about. So by using techniques like clear intention setting, meditation, visualization, self-care, we start to work in alignment with the way our brains are naturally wired, and we start to quickly see massive shifts, okay? So we want to work in alignment. We want to start having our brain see the healthy choices we want to make as a reward. And I talked about this in a video that I did, again, in the Facebook group, if you saw that. I think it was in the Q&A video that I did, where I talked about reframing the way you think about quote unquote treats, right? How instead of seeing that ice cream or the potato chips as something desirable and like a gift, but you can't have it, which again triggers that pleasure pain paradox, and it's going to make you just want it more because that feels like deprivation. Instead, we want to reframe that. We want to change that narrative so that the healthy choice becomes the treat, becomes the gift. And what we used to think of as a treat, we actually see as, not a gift, actually quite poisonous and detrimental and like abusive to our body, which what many of those foods actually do in terms of their actual effect in your system at the cellular level. Okay, so I hope that you can see that our issues around food actually have very little to do with the food itself. You already know what you should be eating more of and what you should be eating less of. I know that you do. The problem isn't knowing what to eat. The problem is doing it. And this is why focusing on diets or carbs never sticks long term. And again, this isn't to bash any, if you're doing keto or any of that, it's fine. Again, any eating approach that you like will work if you stick with it consistently. The key is to start doing it consistently. And the only way to do that is start working with your brain's natural wiring instead of against it. Okay, so before we go on, I want to know if this is resonating with you guys. So let me ask you a question. Does this idea that that what we've been focusing on up until now hasn't been working because it leaves out this huge piece of the puzzle, which is the way your brain is wired, is that making sense to you? If it is, I want you to type light bulb in the chat box. If this is becoming if you're having a light bulb moment here and you're realizing that this might be the piece of the puzzle you've been missing, light bulb, yay, I love it. Okay, good. Oh, I love the light bulb emoji. That's awesome. Okay, light bulb. Oh my gosh, hundreds of light bulbs. Okay, I am seeing so many light bulbs. Fantastic. Okay, I knew you guys were going to get this. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's move on. We now know why what we've been trying hasn't been working, and we know what we need to be focusing on instead. Now let's move to the third point, and I want to share. I just asked you that question. I want to move to the third point, and I want to, because this is probably going to be the most valuable for you, right? You want to know exactly what you should be doing. I want to talk about the 5 keys to unlocking a very different relationship with food, right? One that feels balanced, one that feels simple, one that feels easier, where you're not white knuckling it. And the great news is that what we know about the brain now is that it's actually very good at breaking those old neural pathways in the brain, those old connections, and creating new ones. And this means that if you approach it properly, it's actually very possible to update that old wiring, that old operating system. Yay. Scientists call this phenomenon neuroplasticity. And once you know how to do it, breaking old habits and creating new, healthier ones becomes a whole lot easier because of this notion of neuroplasticity, that your brain is actually like plastic, right? It's able to morph and change and be moved. And that is great news. So let's talk about exactly how we do that. In my approach, I focus on 5 specific keys that target the problem from 5 different angles, okay? And here they are, just as an overview, and then we'll go through each one. So, learning the chemistry of your brain. 2, living more mindfully. 3, visualizing the future you. 4, breaking your habit loops. And 5, mastering self-care and self-love. These are the 5 keys that I personally used to radically transform my own relationship with food. And they're the keys that I now teach inside my Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program to help my students do the same thing. And tonight, I'm going to share some of them with you. So let's go through them one at a time in a little more detail, okay? All right. So learning the chemistry of your brain. Overwhelming cravings, bad habits, lack of willpower, and self-sabotage, these are not symptoms of a weak character or a lack of time or commitment on your part, okay? They're totally normal, and there's a good reason for them because they flow directly from the neurochemistry and neurocircuitry in your brain, okay? Moreover, most of our frustrating habits around food, such as constantly overeating or eating when we're stressed or sad or tired, are driven by a part of your brain called the limbic system. This is part of your most ancient prehistoric brain. Okay, some people call it the lizard brain. I call it the caveman brain sometimes, because this part of your brain has been around for so long, and because it's also directly connected to the symptoms that literally keep you alive, like your breathing and your heart beating, right? These are all managed by your limbic system, and your limbic system also plays a big role in fight or flight, all those things, but also turning to food and when we are feeling uncomfortable, okay? And it's incredibly hard to override this part of your brain with your more modern prefrontal cortex. This is the part right at your brain, that red part in the picture that's right behind your forehead. That's your prefrontal cortex, much more recent on the evolutionary timetable and responsible for more rational thought. That's the part of your brain that's saying, no, if I eat this right now, I'm going to feel like crap, and it doesn't align with my goals, or the fact that I want to lose weight, or I want to cut down on saturated fat, or whatever. That's your prefrontal cortex talking. And we all know that feeling of knowing you should be making a better choice, but feeling utterly powerless against the food. That is your limbic system overriding your prefrontal cortex, right? So your prefrontal cortex is saying, no, I should make a better choice. I really do want to make a better choice. But your limbic system is saying, I don't care. I feel stressed out. I feel scared. I feel sad. I feel lonely. We're going to eat something. And that caveman part of your brain is always going to beat the prefrontal cortex. It's a David and Goliath battle. It's one that you're never going to win. And this battle, this locked battle, is what so much dieting and so much of those approaches has you stuck in. And it's why we keep failing. It's why we keep sabotaging ourselves, or what we call sabotage. It's why we keep going back to the old habits. So, what this means is that if we want to be successful long-term, we have to learn how to work with each of these components in your brain, right? So we can choose tactics that have the best chance for success. You can't just keep ignoring your caveman brain. You can't just beat it into submission, or guilt it into submission, or, tell yourself you're horrible, or why can't you get your act together? That doesn't work for the caveman part of your brain. You have to start to learn the chemistry of your brain and the neurostructure of your brain, and then choose tactics that actually align with them, right? That actually work with your brain's natural wiring. If we lack a good understanding of how neural pathways are formed and how chemicals like dopamine work in the brain, we're doomed to continue trying to make changes in a way that has us working against our brain's natural wiring. So when I say you need to learn the chemistry of your brain, I mean that you need to develop a really clear understanding about things like the conscious mind versus the automatic mind, how neural pathways are formed and how to break old ones and create new ones. The true, like how dopamine works in terms of cravings and how to outsmart that particular tricky neurotransmitter so that you can make better choices no matter where you are, or who you're with, or what time of day it is. And how to work on building your willpower strength so that you can make healthy choices and they start to feel easy and automatic, right? These are all things we have to start to become familiar with, how those things work in our brain so that we can actually get on the same page and again, make and choose approaches that are going to set us up for success instead of set us up for failure, right? And in the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, we spend 2 whole weeks learning just about how your brain actually works and how to tailor the changes you want to make in a way that aligns with how your brain is wired, okay? All right, so that's the first key. It's crucial that you understand, that you start to get an understanding of that chemistry and neurocircuitry of your brain. Okay, let's move to the second key, living more mindfully. I would venture to say that the single number one biggest threat to you being successful with changing your habits around eating is autopilot. Too often, we're making choices about what to eat and how much mindlessly, like this little zombie person. We're just falling into old habits and patterns because we're thinking about a million other things and we're multitasking like crazy and we're just not paying attention. And we're not conscious and present and aware when we're making food choices, right? When we're in that state, we're almost certain to overeat. So when we start to eat more mindfully, this is what starts to happen, right? And some of you experienced this during the recent Mindful Eating Challenge. We don't overeat as much. We digest our food better, right? So you might have noticed, especially as you slow down and you chew more, we have fewer symptoms of poor digestion. So things like bloating, feeling sleepy after eating, gas, symptoms of IBS, that kind of thing, all symptoms of poor digestion. These things tend to improve when we're eating more mindfully. We start to use food simply to fuel and nourish our bodies, right? And not as a form of therapy. We learn which foods work best for us and which don't, right? Like, does our body like gluten or not? Do we like grains or not? Do we like dairy or not? You only know that by becoming more aware and present. So how do we cultivate more mindfulness in our lives, especially when it comes to what and how we're eating? Well, mastering the principles of mindful eating is key. And we just did a lot of that, again, for those of you that just finished the challenge with me, or who have done the challenge with me in the past. Practicing and mastering those principles of mindful eating is imperative. But meditation as a regular practice is also absolutely invaluable, right? There is probably no greater single tool for changing your relationship with food. And it might seem odd and you might not have connected those dots before, but as someone who has been on this journey personally and now helped hundreds of other people on this journey, I can tell you that meditation is probably the number one most powerful tool that you can start practicing and cultivating and working on yourself so that you can more often be in a position of mindfulness when you are choosing food, right? It helps you not eat your feelings. It helps you not overeat. It helps you navigate crazy social situations, all of that stuff. So meditation, having a daily meditation practice is the best way to strengthen your mindfulness muscle, right? And again, in the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, I teach you how to create a daily meditation practice for yourself. Even if you've never meditated or if you've tried meditation and decided it wasn't for you, it's something that will literally change your life, okay? All right, let's move on to the third key. Visualizing the future you. Now, this is an important one. When it comes to our weight and our bodies and our health, we spend a whole lot of time thinking about what we don't want. All right? Stay with me here. We don't want to weigh this much. We don't want to feel tired all the time. We don't want to feel powerless around certain foods. We don't want it all to be so hard. We don't want to be so confused. But we spend very little time thinking about what we do want. Now, you may already think that you spend lots of time thinking about what you do want. Too much time, maybe, in fact. But don't confuse obsessing about food or obsessing about wanting to be thinner with thinking about what you want. They're very different, okay? The problem with spending all your time focusing on where you don't want to be, like you don't want to weigh this much, you don't want to feel this way, is that it's very hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. right? If you got in your car with no clear destination in mind, you just knew you didn't want to be where you are anymore, you would just drive around and around aimlessly and probably end up going in circles because you don't know where you're going. Simply knowing that you don't want to be here is not enough. You need to know more than just what you don't want. You need to very clearly know what you do want. What do you really want, right? How do you want to feel? How do you really want to feel, and who do you really want to be? These are really important questions to think about. It's important that you are able to answer these questions beyond just, I want to be thinner, or I want to be healthy, or, I want to feel better. That is not a clear vision, right? For who you want to be or what you want your life to look like. And, like, you have to take it one step further. Why? Why do you want to be thinner? Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to have energy? How would your life be different? What would you be able to do then that you can't do now? What would you experience that you don't experience now? How would it feel? Like, imagine you did all the things you were supposed to do. You ate all the things, and you didn't eat all the things, and you checked all the boxes, and you were good all the time, blah, blah, blah. Then what? What does success look like? Can you sit right now and create a clear vision in your mind of what that life, what that you would look like and feel like? If not, it's okay, right? Most people don't. Again, most of us have just spent a lot of time thinking about what we don't want. And we assume that what we want is just the opposite of what we don't want. But that's not true. That's not clear enough. We need to get really crystal clear about where we're going. What does success really look like? What is your life going to be like if you get to your goal? And again, more importantly, how is it going to feel? And who are you going to be? These are important questions. And getting really crystal clear on the vision for your future and the future you is important, not just so you can, set clear goals and know where you're going, but because the brain's power of visualization is amazing. Okay. Your brain is good at a lot of things, but one thing it's not very good at is discerning the difference between what is real and what you merely imagine. This is why scary movies work so well, or roller coasters, or ghost stories. Just by imagining or believing something for a minute, you can make your body respond in a very real way, right? When people are watching movies or in a roller coaster, even though they know that they're safe, they still have, because they visualize danger, they have a full physiological, like in your body reaction, right? Heart rate goes up, blood pressure rises, pupils dilate, you start to sweat, your body releases stress chemicals, adrenaline, all that stuff, right? So if you can create a clear vision in your mind of the you want to become, you can put the same principle to work with your relationship with food. Okay, that's what's really exciting about this. The way you do this is by first spending some time crafting that clear vision, okay, of where you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to feel. This is like a story. It's like a make-believe world, right? Where you are your future self. You've lost all the weight, you've resolved the health issues, you won your battle with food, you made all the right choices, right? You did all the things. And then you get to sort of imagine what your life really looks like. Like, what would a typical day look like? What would it feel like to be at that party or that restaurant as this new you? Like, step into her and walk around her life, right? That's what it means to really create this vision. And then once you have your vision, you put it to work by creating a daily visualization practice. This takes just a few minutes a day once you know what you're doing. And this is just where you really take a few minutes to see, imagine, and feel your vision as real. It's similar to meditation, but actually quite different. And what you will find is that because your brain is so easily tricked in this way, with enough repetition, and if you can feel it, if it feels real enough, your brain will start to accept your vision as reality. And you will feel naturally pulled towards the healthy choices that most closely align with that vision. It's pretty amazing. And in my Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, we spend 2 whole weeks crafting your vision, learning how to master the powerful practice of visualization so that you can do it effectively in just minutes a day and really start to see huge shifts in your life as a result. All right? Okay, let's move on to the fourth key, breaking your habit loops. What's interesting about habits is that all habits follow the same structure. Okay, they work in loops. They go like this. You encounter a cue, which triggers a routine or a behavior, and that delivers a reward, which teaches your brain to notice and respond to that cue again with the same routine to get the same reward. And thus you go around in a circle, and this is why we call it a habit loop. Now, breaking habit loops can be tricky, but once you understand the habit loop structure, it gets a lot easier. Now, the cue, so for example, this might be what a habit loop could look like for you, right? The cue being like alone at night, the routine is chips, and the reward is you get a little bit of a dopamine spike. You feel kind of happy after eating the chips. The cue is often impossible to change, right? We can't change the fact that stressful things are going to happen, or we're going to find ourselves in social situations, or that nighttime is going to roll around. And it's also very difficult to change the reward. Your brain is hardwired to avoid pain and seek pleasure, right? Which means that it's always going to want some payoff for any activity or thought that it does or has. So the secret to changing any habit is to keep the cue and craving, keep the cue and reward and replace the routine. Keep the cue and reward and replace the routine. So this means that the first step in breaking your own habit loop is to identify your own cues, routines, and rewards. And once you've done this, you can decide on a new routine to put in place whenever you encounter that cue that will give you the same or similar reward. It's the only way. Again, we have to start working with our brain's natural wiring. We can't keep pretending it doesn't exist or just not learning about it and expecting to find success. The only way through this is to start working with your brain, and your brain works in habit loops. So again, once we've done this, you can decide on, once you've identified these pieces, you can then be very deliberate and diligent about picking a new routine, not chips, that will deliver a same or similar reward. And in the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, we spend 2 whole weeks learning about how to identify cues, routines, and rewards, and how to create plans that will replace those routines in a way that still feels satisfying. Okay? All right, let's move on to the 5th and final key, mastering self-care and self-love. Why are self-care and self-love part of the 5 keys, you might be wondering. We all know that self-care is important, but is it really that important? My answer is yes. Big, resounding, huge, massive yes. Why? Okay, there's 2 reasons why I think self-care and self-love are so important that they deserve to be in the 5 keys. First, because again, your brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure, right? And that means that when you feel exhausted or overwhelmed or run down and completely depleted, your brain perceives that as pain. And its response? Go on a reward-seeking mission, right? Straight to the thing that it knows will give it pleasure the fastest. And if you're hanging out with me here tonight, that's probably food. Now, for other people, it's other things. It might be shopping or social media or celebrity gossip or drugs or alcohol or crummy relationships. But again, if you're hanging out with me here tonight, I'm guessing it's food, probably some form of sugar or processed carbohydrates. The second reason it's so important, why self-care is so important and why it deserves to be one of the keys, is that very often we're using food as a way to manage or numb uncomfortable feelings like exhaustion or overwhelm that stem from us pushing ourselves too hard and not making the time to refill our cup, right? So the better, more effective way to address both of these issues is through regular self-care. We need to prevent, right? We need to get ahead of it. We don't want to end up every day, at the end of the day, feeling exhausted, completely depleted, because again, you are likely going to lose that battle. Your brain is in too vulnerable of a position to make good choices. So better to get ahead of it, prevent it by making self-care a bigger priority. Now, here are some common signs that you're not currently making self-care a big enough priority. You feel exhausted at the end of almost every day, and you look forward to food as a way to feel better. Oh my gosh, did I ever used to do that? Used to get through the whole day just anticipating that chips and M&M binge at night. You wake up in the morning still feeling tired. You tell yourself, I deserve it, when you're reaching for junk at night. You feel exhausted but can't sleep. We call this tired and wired. You feel disconnected from yourself and from something greater, whatever that means for you, God, the universe, source, etc. You just feel a disconnection. And you easily get caught up in external demands that take you off track. So what other people want, other people's expectations, vacation, being in social situations, you are easily distracted or taken off course by external factors. I'm guessing that one or all of these are resonating with you hard. And that tells me that you're not making self-care a big enough priority, and you're probably seeing the effects of that in your relationship with food. So I hear you say that you understand the importance of self-care, you know you need more of it, but you just don't have time. So what I want to know is, are you really clear on what self-care even is? I teach self-care a little bit differently than most people. So for me, self-care is not about booking a spa day or getting a manicure, although those are lovely. For me, self-care is about fostering connection in your life. Okay? Connection. Connection with yourself, connection with people you love, and connection with something greater, whatever words you use to describe that. Okay? Something greater. So think about the activities, routines, and rituals that leave you feeling more connected in these three ways. So, for example, self-care in this way of thinking about it could be a walk outside, could be painting, could be cooking, writing, reading, a nap, yoga, dancing, laughing at a great movie, coffee with a friend, playing the guitar, going for a run, playing with your dog, taking pictures of your cat. I don't know. But activities, rituals, routines that make you feel connected. I want you to start thinking about the word connection when you think about self-care. If we don't learn what self-care needs to look like for us and create a way to make it part of our lives, we'll constantly be living from an empty cup. And thus we will constantly be vulnerable to making poor food choices as a result. Okay? And in the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, we spend 2 whole weeks learning about what self-care really means, how to create self-care routines and rituals that leave you feeling recharged and empowered, and also how to turn things that you're already doing every day into beautiful acts of self-care, because I know you don't have a lot of time. All right. So that's it at a very high level, because I'd only have a short time with you guys. Those are the 5 keys, the 5 areas that you need to focus on that target your old unhealthy relationship with food from 5 different angles to make deep, lasting change happen and to make that deep, lasting change stick. Okay? So these are tools. The reason they work is because they work at the subconscious level for the most part, right? They largely target the automatic brain, which is where all our old unhealthy habits and patterns like nighttime binging and overeating and emotional eating live. So by learning to master these keys, these tools, which you can then use, anywhere, anytime, no matter who you're with or what food is around, you actually start to rewire your brain to welcome the healthy choices and even crave them. You literally become a different person. I can't think of any better way to really say that. I'll never forget when Colleen, who's a member of the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, she sent me a message after completing her first 12 weeks. And her message simply said, "Holy cow, this is how a thin person thinks." And I think it's funny. And I know that, of course we know that thin doesn't equal healthy or happy or any of those things, but I still think it's kind of what we want, right? We kind of want to have our brains think the way a thin person thinks. And now learning how to master these 5 keys takes some practice, right? And it takes some understanding of how neurochemistry and neurocircuitry work in the brain, more than I can really go into just in this webinar. But once you nail these, it's like your motivation and willpower just drank like a double espresso followed by a Red Bull. This is when magic starts to happen. And this is exactly what Dar experienced. She said that before doing the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, I felt like a failure. I would mindlessly eat, often reaching for not so healthy choices when I wasn't even hungry, and never making much headway with losing weight. I really feared that nothing was ever going to work. But we put these 5 keys to work with Dar, and we really worked to change the way her brain was wired around food. And we really set her up for long-term success. And she's been, an alumni of my program for years now. And she recently explained to me, now I see food as fuel for my body. And since learning these new skills, making good food choices is so much easier now. That donut that I thought I wanted doesn't appeal anymore. I'm more in tune with my body, and I realize when I've had enough. A bonus is that I've lost about 20 pounds, and going down in sizes feels really empowering. You can see from, stories like this one, and the ones I've shared from Janice and Anne and Dar, that when instead of obsessing about food, you focus on reprogramming that operating system in your brain, everything really starts to shift. Okay, so let's just recap. My goal for this webinar was really to show you how to train your brain to fall in love with the healthy lifestyle that you want to create, because I know that's what you want. You're just struggling with how to do it consistently. So we talked about why what you've been trying so far hasn't worked. We talked about what you need to be focusing on instead, and I shared with you the 5 keys that I used personally and that I now use in the work that I do to unlocking a very different relationship with food. So let me ask you a question. Does it sound like we might now be touching on the piece of this equation that you might have been missing all along? For all these years, you've been focused on believing that you don't have enough motivation or willpower, or that you're just too lazy to stay consistent. But what we've learned is that it's really not about more willpower. It's not about, being more committed. It's about learning how to work with your brain's natural wiring rather than against it. And it's about learning how to reprogram and rewire that old operating system so that the healthy choices start to feel natural and automatic, right? And my guess is that no one's ever taught you how to speak your brain's language, or exactly what you need to be doing to get your brain on board with actually implementing healthy changes long term, right? So that means that all this time you've been fighting your own brain. And that's why you keep falling back into old, familiar, and frustrating habits. And it's why nothing has ever worked long term. It really is. One of the women who recently completed my 5-day mindful eating challenge asked me, why hasn't my doctor ever talked to me about this? Right? And she was mad, and I don't blame her. Not enough of the people we trust are talking about this. And that's why I'm so glad that you're here tonight to learn this for yourself. And hopefully you'll leave here tonight and share this with a friend or someone else you care about who's also struggling. Now, let me ask you if you would like some help in making this all happen for yourself. What would it feel like to finally be free of your old struggles with food, to be done with nighttime binging and stress eating, to become the kind of person who simply uses food as a way to fuel and nourish your body rather than a therapist to deal with your feelings? How would it feel to be able to make the healthy choices without it feeling like hard work or deprivation, or even requiring much thought, honestly? Imagine never again feeling the need to hide food or be ashamed of what you're eating. Imagine having willpower like for days, even when you're out at a restaurant or you're tired after a long day. And imagine giving almost no thought to what you're going to eat, simply just feeling really naturally drawn to the healthy food that will really nourish your body, really to being able to tune in and almost intuitively know what your body needs and what's really going to serve you in any given moment. And imagine finally feeling like you're in control of the food rather than the food being in control of you. And that's really what can happen. It's not a quick fix, right? I don't have any magic beans or anything like that. And it takes work on your part. It really does. It takes regular practice. It takes commitment. But this is exactly what I teach and what I've now taught to hundreds of students around the world. Now, I want to ask you if it's okay if I just spend maybe 10 minutes going over, just like 10 minutes going over some information about some of the details about the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program and how it might help you come at this from a really different perspective and really change the way your brain thinks about food. So just type yes in the chat box if you're okay with me just talking about that for a little bit. Yes, yes, yes. Yay. Awesome. Oh, you guys are the best. Okay. I'm seeing lots of yeses. Okay. I promise I won't take up too much more of your time. I just want to introduce you to the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, which I've already mentioned several times, and a lot of you have heard about probably online somewhere, either via email or Facebook. This is a 12-week online program. The next session starts January 28th. And I hesitate even to say it's 12 weeks because as a CYB member, you get lifetime access to everything. So we go through 12 weeks of training and teaching, but that's really just the beginning. So here's a very high level overview of what we cover over the 12 weeks, okay? So in Module 1, we talk about how your brain actually works, right? When it comes to willpower, we talked about that in the first key. In the second module, we talk about harnessing the powerful practices of mindfulness and meditation and visualization. So this is huge. These are huge, massive tools that are going to change not just your relationship with food, but really your relationship with yourself and so many other aspects of your life. Module 3, we talk about uncovering the old programming and those old habit loops, identifying those cues, routines, and rewards. And that old programming that's been driving your food choices up till now. And we learn specific ways to break those old habits and rewire that old programming. In Module 4, this is actually Module 5 is usually people's favorite, but Module 4 is a fan favorite for sure, creating a new operating system for your brain around food. So this is where we really do that deep reprogramming and rewiring work, where we work with your brain's natural wiring. Module 5 is usually where people lose their minds. Everyone loves the toolbox. So I spent a whole hour just going through tools that you can use in the moment, in the restaurant, at the party, on the vacation, on the road, at nighttime, all the times. I have a whole toolbox that I share with everybody, and you will love them, I promise. And in Module 6, we go deep into self-care strategies. We cultivate a new level of self-love, which is something else we didn't really touch on tonight, but it's such an important piece of the puzzle because you cannot hate your body into changing. The only energy source that is going to propel you to long-term change is self-love. And so I teach you how to cultivate more of that in your life. I want you to hear from Melissa. Melissa did the program with me quite a while back, but I always love this quote from her because she says, "This program has been so pivotal for me. Somewhere along the way, my brain literally changed. It feels like the battle between my brain and body is over. I still have work to do, but I now have the tools I never had before, and I feel so free knowing that." Isn't that awesome? I just love that idea of your brain literally changing, and just think about what that would mean for you in your life. So you'll leave the CYB program really feeling in control, no matter where you are, what time of day it is, who you're with, no matter what temptations are around. You'll leave confident in your ability to make the food choices you want to make rather than being a slave to your cravings. And you'll feel free from constantly thinking, worrying, stressing, and regretting your food choices. Okay, so let me introduce you to just a couple more people who've had the chance to go through the program with me. This is Colleen. Colleen was the one who said, "This is how a thin person thinks." Colleen said, "All I can say is, wow, I feel like I've gone through school all my life, never really getting it and always failing my classes. Then a great teacher comes along and I get it. You help me see what I need to do to make this happen. I've lost 23 pounds and I have an entirely new relationship with food that I honestly never thought I could have." And I want you to know that this is all possible for you too, right? There's nothing different about Colleen or Anne or Janice or me or any of us, right? We were all exactly where you are. And when you embrace this different approach, I'm telling you, magic happens. As we discussed earlier, the reason all the things you've tried before haven't worked is because you've been trying to implement new food choices without first updating that operating system, right? It's as simple as that. You're trying to mop up the water without turning off the faucet. And Change Your Brain, Change Your Body comes at it from a totally different angle. This isn't a diet. There's no meal plan to follow. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. I honestly don't care what you're eating. What I care about is helping you change your brain so that you can stick with whatever food approach you want to embrace. you already know what you need to do. I really believe that. You just need to get your brain on board. Okay, so let me just walk you through how the program really works. You get live online classes where we go through each of those modules. So over the first 12 weeks, every other week we have a class, right? So there's 6 classes, 6 modules that we cover over 12 weeks. That gives you 2 weeks in between the classes where we go a little deeper, like in the Facebook group. There's worksheets that we do. We do some Q&A and on-the-spot coaching during the classes and in the Facebook group. Everything's recorded, so do not worry if you have to miss any of the classes. Obviously, nobody can come to all of them because everyone has busy lives. So they're all recorded, and all the recordings get uploaded to our private learning portal. You will have a password to log into that, and you can go listen to the recording whenever is convenient for you. There's downloadable worksheets that go with each of the modules, and these just help you go deeper. They ask some probing questions. They help you explore different areas that you might not have thought of and really help you implement change immediately. You get ongoing live support and accountability from myself in the private Facebook group and also from all the CYB members, both those who will be doing it starting January 28th and also those who have been around for years. The alumni are one of the best, most valuable parts of the program, in my opinion. And this time we're actually adding new stuff, which we haven't had before, which is daily prompts, tips, motivation. So these are going to be specific to the module we're working on in that week, and they will help you stay consistent, stay on track, keep moving forward, keep thinking about things in a different way, keep practicing your new skills. And we're also putting in place a totally voluntary accountability buddy system. So if you want a little bit more accountability and you want to be paired with somebody who shares your goals, shares your sort of where you're at in your life, your eating style, that kind of thing, we're going to do our best to kind of match people up. So you'll have an accountability buddy that will help you stay accountable, help you stay consistent, help you stay on track. Okay, I want you to meet Shannon. She's amazing. She went through the program with me a few years ago. And Shannon said, I've tried every diet out there and they've all failed. In this program, we went deep. We got to the root cause and changed that. No one had ever taught me what this program taught me. Since learning this new approach, I've lost weight. I'm never hungry. I have more energy. I feel amazing. And I'm so in tune with my body. Okay, so members of the program get all the live online classes with Q&A on-the-spot coaching with me. That's about a $1,200 value. The downloadable worksheets, $150 value, and live support and accountability, which is about $997. So just that alone is a value of $2,347. In addition, there's some great bonuses that we've thrown in. So you get lifetime access to the program, as I mentioned just a minute ago. So yes, it's 12 weeks of learning, but that's really I consider that really just the beginning, because as a CY member, you get lifetime access to the program. That means that I don't just mean you get to keep like the recordings of this session. You get to do it again with me every time I do it. So for example, we're starting the next session January 28th. There's people that just took it with me last summer that are going to come back and start all over again in January, right? They want to refresh, they want to reboot, they want to go deeper, they want to explore these things even more. I have people that will be doing it if you sign up with you on January 28th that have started years ago, right? Like they just love coming back and getting the refresh. I'm often updating the content so you get to learn new things, more things, and that's all totally included. You can keep doing this program forever if you want, right? And you also get access to the community, which is so amazing forever, which is so great. It becomes like your support system, just ongoing. And I love that. And that's a value of $14.99. The community support is really invaluable. I can't speak enough about the private Facebook group that goes along with the Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program is just filled with the most supportive, encouraging, positive people you will ever hope to meet, right? And it's a great place for you to get answers to your questions, support from me and others on the same journey. And again, more accountability. It's hard to do this alone. It's almost impossible, if you ask me. You need to have a tribe, a group of like-minded people who are doing this with you, who get how you feel, who understand how challenging this can be, who can be there to push you forward when you're feeling stuck or to cheer you on, to celebrate you when you have a big win. So that's a huge piece of value, $500 value there. You're going to get a guided meditation for weight loss that I created, which is really helpful, kind of walks you through a guided visualization exercise. It was another $30 value. So members of the CYB program get all the live online classes, downloadable worksheets, support and accountability, lifetime access to everything, community support, guided meditation, which brings us to a value of about $4,375. But don't worry, you know I would never charge you that much, right? That seems like a crazy price to me. So the regular cost for the CYB program is $997. So it's almost $1,000, or 3 payments of $365. But for the next 48 hours till Wednesday night, you can save almost 50%, and you can get in for just $597, or 3 monthly payments of $230. Now, a lot of people have been surprised to learn that that's Canadian. So if you're in the US watching this, that is in Canadian dollars. So for Americans, that's approximately, depending on what the exchange is when you purchase, approximately $450 US, or about 3 monthly payments of $175. And that's the URL, sarahbest.com/CYB, if you want to go and sign up. So here's what I know for sure. That woman we talked about earlier, who loves herself, who feels confident and strong and healthy and has this relationship with food that she's really proud of, she's inside of you, right? She's 100% available to you. She's already there. You know that. You just need to know how to tap into her. And life is so short, and I don't want you to spend any more time living half the kind of life you deserve, because this fight with food is stealing your energy, your vitality, your joy, your potential, your time. The world needs all of you. We need the best version of you, and you deserve no less than that. It is possible for this to be easier. It is possible to be that person who naturally gravitates to the healthy stuff. I've helped so many people do this, and I can help you too. I love this post from Jessica I just clipped this from our Change Your Brain, Change Your Body Facebook group. She says, this past week, I've made healthy choices for myself. I find time for self-care, and it feels easy. I feel like someone has clicked a switch, and it has become easy. Easy to turn down junk food and sweets, easy to eat less than I normally would have. I feel in control, and it feels amazing. I have never felt this way ever in my life. I want you to think about if that was you writing that 12 weeks from now, right? Like it's the end of April, and you're writing in our Facebook group this kind of post, right? That you just can't fully appreciate and believe how much things have changed for you. Okay, and one more goodie. Goodies aren't over. A few more things. Throwing in all the stuff for you guys. Last chance bonus. So I was running this bonus just for people who signed up in the first 2 days, but I've decided to extend it to Wednesday night. So if you register tonight, you'll also get my entire Mindful Eating Mastery program, which is a completely separate program, specifically about mastering the principles of mindful eating. $300 value. You'll get that entirely for free right away. So if you sign up tonight, you'll get the link tonight. This is a video-based course. You do it at your own pace whenever you have time. So put it aside if you want to do it later, or dive right in tonight. You're going to learn how to master 6 powerful mindful eating techniques to really beat cravings, prevent emotional eating, stop self-sabotage, and really navigate those tricky situations like restaurants and parties and travel. So again, one last recap. You get all the classes, Q&A with me, on-the-spot coaching during our calls if you want it, downloadable worksheets, live support and accountability, lifetime access to the program, all the community support you could ever need, guided meditation. You get the fast action bonus of the Mindful Eating Mastery program entirely for free. So that's a total value of $4,675. But if you jump in the next 48 hours, you'll get it all for $597 Canadian, which is about $450 US. And there's the URL again if you want to jump in. sarahbest.com/CYB. Okay. How do we do for time? Whew, 9:30. Okay, that's 90 minutes, you guys. I pretty much did it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to turn on my video again so I can see you, and I'm going to be here to answer all your questions. Okay, let me just see. Okay, Susan says, if we don't do CYB this session, when will you hold another session? Probably in April will be the next one, Susan. So if you don't jump in now, by all means, think about joining us in April. Okay, let me go back and see if there's other questions here. Oh, John says she's already signed up. Yay! Love it, love it, I love it. Okay. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions while I'm looking back here? This is so good. I love seeing all your comments. Mia says, are you able to email me the slides? I couldn't take notes fast enough. I won't send out the slides, but I'll send out the recording to this so you can watch it again and absolutely take notes. What is the URL? It's sarahbest.com/CYB. Here, maybe I can share again. Share. Okay. There you go. sarahbest.com/CYB. If I did CYB years ago, can I get on the email list for this time? Of course, Barbara, you should already be on the list. If not, send Olivia an email at support@sarahbestnutrition.com, support@sarahbestnutrition.com. That's where you can get Olivia and just let her know that you are a CYB alumni and just make sure you're on the list. Awesome webinar, very beneficial. Thank you, Patricia. I'm glad. Okay, all right, I don't see any other questions. It's very few questions. Is the free course $300 value available through midnight Wednesday if we sign up for the CYB course? Yes, Jamie. I'm gonna give everyone who signs up before the doors close on Wednesday. Everyone's gonna get the extra bonus. So not to worry. As long as you sign up before midnight on Wednesday, you'll get it all. Okay. Jennifer, this is amazing. Yay. I wish I could do CYB now, but I'm not able to. That's totally fine. Looking forward to maybe doing later this year. That would be great, Jennifer. We'd love to have you. Sandy says, how long are the online classes? They're usually about an hour. I try to keep them to an hour, but then I stay on, and sometimes we have a lot of questions and we get into a big discussion. Sometimes not. So I would say like 60 to 90 minutes is a good time to budget. I usually have 60 minutes of material, and then sometimes we have no questions, and sometimes we have like half an hour. Do you think you will offer the same half price in April? I am not sure what the price will be in April. I'm not sure. I don't want to commit to that. I heard about your mindfulness challenge halfway through the week. When will you do another one? Robin says. I wasn't going to do another one till April, but we're actually looking at maybe doing it again right away in February, Robin. So stay tuned for that. We're just kind of trying to figure out. There was so much interest and demand, and so many people seem interested that we might run it again in February. How many CYB sessions have you done, and how many alumni are there? That's an interesting question, Valerie. You know what? I was just looking back at old files, and I think I've been doing CYB now for 3 years, and there are about 300 alumni. I noticed in my email lists, and most of them are in the Facebook group. So I think our Facebook group is just under 300. And yeah, I've been running it for about 3 years now, and I typically run it about 4 times a year. So what's that? I've done it 12 times. What time of the day are the classes? The classes are at 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights, every other Thursday. But again, they're all recorded. Honestly, there's no time I could pick that would work for everybody. It's impossible. So they're Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern, but they're all recorded. So not to worry. You can, some people never come to the live ones. They just watch the recordings. The full cost of CYB program is $597, but what is the breakdown price if paying in 3 payments? It's $230 a month for 3 months is the breakdown. Okay. But again, that's Canadian dollars. So I think that comes to like what did I say? I think it's like 175. I don't know. I just used one of those online calculators converting Canadian dollars to US dollars. So that's in Canadian dollars. If you're in the States, it's about 450 one payment or 3 payments of, I think it was 175 US. Okay. All right. Yay. Is that all the questions? This was so fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I just always love connecting with you, sharing these ideas with you. I hope you had a few aha moments. I hope you had a few light bulbs go off. And yeah, if you have any other questions about CYB, I'm not hard to find. Find me online, email me, message me on Facebook, post something in one of my groups. You can find me. I'm happy to answer any questions. Where will the recording be? I will email the recording out to everyone, Jane. Thank you so much. Hoping to take CYB next time. Good, Debbie. Thank you for sharing your philosophy and your knowledge. You're so welcome, Jennifer. And you're so welcome, Valerie. Thank you guys for taking the time and for showing up and for being here with me. So I'm not talking to myself. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your night. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.